Ellery, you're back in the arena of being a rugby league head coach again. How's that been the last couple of days and weeks, months preparing for this?
Well, the most difficult part was probably this last round of weekend games, really, hoping that all your players will come through from injuries and no suspensions, and it's been quite the opposite. So it's been challenging from that point of view, but let me tell you, it's been delightful and enjoyable, and I owe everything to Rugby League, and I'm indebted to them completely. And when I was first asked about doing the job, I couldn't turn it down, simply because, as I said to you, just repeating, I'm indebted to Rugby League for everything they've done for me. So it's an honour to do this and to work with the classic players and brilliance of all the players in this squad is absolutely fantastic.
I've just sat down with two of your players, Cruz Lehman and Sean Down, and one of the things that struck me speaking to them was their kind of the passion and pride that they have in representing their cultures. And I defy anyone to speak to them or any of the players in that room and be critical of this concept when you see how passionate they are about playing for their individual countries and cultures.
That's absolutely right. That was borne out to me when I first made my first phone call, and I'm sure he won't mind me saying this. I made my first phone call to Chris Satay I'd like to send him an invitation to join the combined nation side, the 30-man squad and everything. And the energy was incredible down the phone when I rang him up and I mentioned it to him, that he was so excited and he was so honoured and he was so humbled by it. And that was the case of, I rang every single player, the 30-man squad, and I spoke to them about sending them invitation over to play for the Combined Nations in June against England. And every one of them, the desire, you'd have to be, I wouldn't do it justice in trying and explain how enthusiastic and how pleased they were that the invitation was there for these players.
Obviously you've not got a huge amount of time with them just this week, and it can be difficult, I guess, to instill too much of a kind of tactical identity and that kind of thing. Does that almost by default mean that there's a big emphasis on the players just expressing themselves and enjoying themselves?
No, there's a little bit of that in it, in terms of that the players, yes, I want them to express themselves, and I want them to play with freedom as well. That's all crucial, and that's important. But there is some structure there in terms of making sure that we understand what we want to be doing when we're coming out of our red zone area. That's our danger zone area, our own 20-metre zone area. Once we get into the opposition's red zone area or good ball area, we also want to know what we're doing there as well. And in terms of getting into around the 50 mark as well, all our edge players as well. So it's crucial that the players do have some structure, but at the same time, I do want them to play with freedom in playing what they see, and if they see something and it's on, let's play it and let's go down that channel.
You're coming up against an England team full of players who are fighting for shirts at a World Cup. Does that make this game kind of uniquely exciting, because there's that kind of cross between there being so much at stake for those guys, but also so much at stake culturally and professionally and personally for your players? Yeah,
there's no question about that. Again, I think that's exactly the point, that England are coming up and they know, all the players know that they have to play well, and hence why we know that it's going to be a tough game. It's going to be physically tough. It's going to be draining and mentally draining, in regards to knowing that we know that we've got to reach our peak in terms of beating England. We know they're going to be organised. They've had plenty of time to do that and so forth. But we're not going to turn over, and we're not going to roll over. And I think it's an exciting concept. I think it's a brilliant concept, and long may it continue. I think it's when you speak to the players and all the players coming in, you only have to you recognise that almost immediately.
Your opposite number as well, Sean Wane, a man that you'll know very well. You played with him, of course, and does that give you kind of the perfect insight into what he'll be like mentally in this game?
Well, I've known Sean long enough. Nobody used to tell me about Sean. I've played with him, and socially we've been in each other's company for a long period of time. It's only this week we've spoke to each other, this week and last week a couple of times, and I know what his desire is and his hunger is and everything. He was like that as a player, and he's the same same as a coach now as well, as I am as well. He's very competitive, as I am as well. And he would expect from his players the highest degree of making sure that they do everything correctly on the footy paddock and everything, as I do with my players as well. And the players I've got, they're all high quality, and first and foremost, they are beautiful people, and I think that shows and comes out so easily when you meet every one of them.
You have the honour of representing England and Great Britain many times in your playing career. Is there anything like playing representative in international football, whether that be for England or a combined team, any kind of rep side?
I think that it's a privilege to be a professional sports person. I really do think that if you are privileged to be able to represent, first of all, your town, a club team, and then you go on to rep honours and everything, it's marvellous, and it's a window of opportunity that many people don't get through, and I think that, and I think most players do this. They grasp it with both hands and recognise how privileged they are. I mean, every time I pulled on my badge of honour, whether it would be for Wigan, for Leeds, for Bradford, whether it was for Balmain, West, I really treasured every single 80 minutes. And I think in today's game, I think the players do that.
Do you think you might get the bug back this week? Do you think you'll come out at the end of this week and think that maybe a job in coaching again for you might be the way forward?
Oh, look, the good thing with me, there's no pressure on me in regards to what I do after this at all. I've just been so fortunate in the sense that I'm being privileged to have managed to play the game and coach the game as well, and to be able to work with this highly skilled team. What I've got now, it's an absolute privilege.